for you to say that the Jets are a long shot away from making the playoffs, there's still another additional team that's going to be added to the playoff run, a playoff wild card now. Mm-hmm. So now the Jets could be an 8-8 team and make the playoffs and make a run. You don't know what's going to happen. So for you to say that the Jets are far, far away from winning, well, by the way, people thought that about Baltimore a couple of years ago. And how about last year trading letting go of CJ Mosley and all the defensive players they did? Mm-hmm. They didn't know what they had. They didn't know what this defense was going to be.
I had them in the playoffs. Nobody expected them to be 14-2, though.
Yeah, nobody knew what they were going to be. So for you to say that the Jets don't have a chance, well, I don't know what you're saying. This redevelopment of that offensive line, these players could fit for the Jets. I mean, they could fit.
The Jets and the Dallas Cowboys are the.
Oh my God! There he goes again and taking shots at the New York Jets.
I didn't know that's not taking a shot at the Cowboys, though.
No, he's taking. First of all, you can't put the Jets and the Cowboys in the same conversation, okay? They're two different organizations.
The playoffs for the past couple of years.
You're right. They're also in the easier division. They're not playing against the New England Patriots 2 times a year against the great Bill Belichick and Tom Brady every single year. Now the Jets are not going to have to see that consistency. So, again, you can take shots at the Jets all you want. Who do the Cowboys have to play every single year? Carson Wentz?
Oh, he's healthy.
Who's their quarterback right? Who's Washington's quarterback this year? We don't even know who that is.
And it's Kyle Allen.
And the Giants. Oh, the great Eli Manning. The great Eli Manning hasn't been good for 4 years. And then they bring in Daniel Jones, who I think is going to be good, but he still has to develop. So again, the Cowboys are in a much easier situation than the Jets have the last couple of years. So keep taking shots at the Jets and saying bad things about the Jets. The Jets have been in a bad situation for years. And now they have a chance to be the team up on top of the division, not on the bottom of the division, or second to the division, which they've been second for the last couple of years, except last year with the Buffalo Bills. So for you to take shots,
when Buffalo made the playoffs.
What are you talking about?
2017, that Buffalo made the playoffs.
Okay, so 2 years. But the Jets have been a second-tier team to the Patriots year in and year out. And now they have an opportunity to be the first-tier team where everybody's going to be looking on top of them.
Let me ask you, like, just an honest question.
Absolutely.
Years in a row?
Yeah.
How many years in a row have the Jets drafted in the top 10?
Practically almost every single year.
The last 3 years for sure.
Great team. They're a bottom of the league team no matter where they are.
And I'll tell you this, and I'm going to give you some statistics, okay? There are a lot of teams that drafted in the top 10 in the last 10 years. Do you know who the number one drafting team in the NFL is in the last 15 years?
It's probably the Patriots. Well, I mean, by what volume of picks? Because the Patriots always have
volume of players that are still in the NFL.
The Ravens, I think.
No.
I'm sorry. What was the criteria for the question?
In the last 15 years, out of draft stock, who's the team that has still the most NFL players in the NFL right now?
That is an interesting question. The Steelers, maybe?
No.
No? Really?
Probably maybe the Lions.
Nope.
Oh, God. Their players are gone before you know it.
Because they don't work out with the Lions, they go other places and make it. It's like
Here's the answer. The Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, they are a good player development organization.
Doesn't matter. That's not the argument here. The Cincinnati Bengals, who have not won a playoff game since 1960, okay? They don't win playoff games.
Another team that drafts in the top 10 every year.
All right.
Not really, no.
No, they haven't.
No, they've been bad
Last year
recently,
they did.
but whenever they're bad, they're usually just average. They're not really top 10. I think the only other draft they drafted top 10 was the AJ Green one.
There are a lot of teams that drafted in the top 10 the last 15 years, and they have not hit on any of their draft picks. So for you to take shots at the New York Jets.
I would just say this to you, Aaron. Mm-hmm. The Patriots are 2 games on the Jets schedule. Mm-hmm. They're 2 games. Mm-hmm. And okay, if they lose those 2 games, fine, they lose those 2 games. But there's 14 other games on their schedule.
Right.
Okay? Mm-hmm. If you're constantly drafting in the top 10, that means you're also below 500 against everybody.
There is no question the organization, and that's why they brought in a guy like Joe Douglas that wants to build around the draft. He's not going to offer big-time deals and contracts to players. He wants to build around the draft. I think Joe Douglas is going to do the job that we expected other GMs to do for the New York Jets and did it wrong. I don't think he's going to bite. I don't think he's going to budge. I think he's going to do it. If he was the GM of that team 2 years ago, he wouldn't have given CJ Mosley the money that he gave him. And they wouldn't have given Le'Veon Bell the money that they gave him either.
I mean, that's the contract I don't think is very good. Like the C.J. Mosley one, it's hard to argue. Okay, he got injured last year, but it's hard to argue that
Got to stay in the
he's
field.
a good player worth that money. Le'Veon Bell would be the one you could argue isn't worth that money.
And I think Le'Veon Bell's going to have a fantastic year this year. I really do. I think he's going to have a fantastic year. I do. I think he's going to have a fantastic year this year, and he's going to shut a lot of critics up because he missed a whole year of football, and he came back to the Jets. The Jets didn't have any offensive line. They're restructuring the offensive line right now, and they're restructuring it into a running style of game. So I do believe Le'Veon Bell will be better.
This isn't necessarily a shot at the Jets, right? You know, even though you're going to take it that way, right?
No, I'm not taking anything, even though I know you hate the Jets.
How many teams are successful that have a high-paid running back?
That's a good question, and I've argued this point on other shows. I do think the most worthless position in football is the running back position.
But it's only if you have good coaching, though, too. You can't have bad coaching and be able to platoon running backs either, though.
Like I don't want to be a homer, and you know, because I'm going to bring the Patriots in.
Go ahead, do it, because I can't wait to watch the Patriots this year.
All five of the Patriots running backs that they had on their roster last year, if you added up all of their contracts, it was less than one Le'Veon Bell.
Again, my argument...
So that's literally 5 players.
Jeff, my argument isn't that you're wrong. My argument here is Joe Douglas is now running that organization, and he is not going to let that happen anymore. He's not going to throw away money on players that he thinks aren't worth it.
And also keep in mind, a lot of the teams that do that, the Patriots, the Eagles, the Ravens, the 49ers, teams like that, the platoon running backs, I would say a good majority of them have great coaching, too, where they can make that happen. The Jets have Adam Gase, who's been very average in his coaching career.
There's a lot of average coaches in the NFL right now. How many great coaches are in the NFL? Again, Speedy, with your stupidity out of your mouth. The Giants brought in a Judge, a no-name guy that's never done anything in the NFL.
Right.
Okay? So there are coaches that have no experience or bad experience in the NFL.
Right, and I wouldn't trust them with running back platoons either.
And I'm not gonna take a shot at Adam Gase because I don't think Adam Gase is any good as far as what I've seen so far. But again, he didn't have his star quarterback all season last year, and he still had a 7-9 record when he came back. And Sam Darnold in the second half of the season, go look at what he's done in the second half of the season. Both years, he's been one of the best quarterbacks
progression-wise year to year. You're talking,
for the last 2 years.
Right. Listen, I'm not knocking Sam Darnold. He had my favorite win of the football season last year. Of all the wins in all of football,
here we go with the Cowboys again, taking shots at the Cowboys. Man, I understand you hate the Cowboys, and that's great, and I understand, and I'm sure the Beav is listening, telling you to F yourself. I'm sure he's saying something.
That wasn't your favorite win of the entire football season last
year? No, my
year?
favorite win of the football season. My favorite
win
of the football season was the end of the season because I didn't want to see any more of it. There were too many injuries for the Jets, and really in the 11th to 12th game of the season, I stopped watching most of the full games because they had more injuries.
Par for the course for a Jets fan, but they still had my favorite win of the football season last year.
Well, and that's great. I'm happy for you. It wasn't something exciting for me to watch, and watching my Jets team fight all the injuries that they did. Well, I'm hoping that this is going to be a different year for the Jets, and I do believe it will. And I think they're going to be a better team. And what you saw with Greg Williams last year defensively, now that you're adding some players of C.J. Mosley or Avery Williamson and some of these guys that you're adding to this defense this year, this defense is going to be that much better. So I think their defense, they were a top 10 defense in the second half of the season this past year, learning Greg Williams' defense.
And they're a second best run defense in the entire league.
And now you're going to add 2 really good players to that defense. They're going to be that much better at the defensive position. I think they're going to be one of the top 5, top 6 defenses in the league this year. The question is, are they going to draft that wide receiver in the first round, or are they going to go after tackle? My opinion, and I've been watching, and I know I've been saying I want Jerry Jeudy. I've been watching Lamb play, different pieces of Lamb, highlights. If CeeDee Lamb is still there, I'll take CeeDee Lamb too. I think Lamb is an explosive player.
Listen, it's all going to be in who you prefer, right?
Right.
But I think that if you look around the league, the more successful teams are the ones that build up their line first, right? Because
Absolutely.
having CeeDee Lamb is terrific, but if Sam Darnold isn't upright to throw him the football, what good is having CeeDee Lamb on your team?
I think the Jets have made a lot of good acquisitions this offseason where they have bunches of offensive linemen that they can maneuver around on that offensive line where it eventually will work. So I don't know if there's a big-time left tackle still sitting there at a number 11, then I draft them. If they're all four of them,
do you know how many left tackles? Do you know how many great left tackles are in this draft?
I know you could get one in the second round. You could get one in the second round. If CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy is sitting there at number 11, if I were the Jets organization and Sam Darnold needs an explosive player, number one guy for the next 10, 12 years that are going to grow with him because he's still right now still the youngest quarterback in the NFL, starting quarterback in the NFL. If I were the Jets right now, I'm going after the best wide receiver available. And if you think Jerry Jeudy is, you draft Jerry Jeudy.
I don't think they're that far behind either, though. Jeudy and Lamb.
If you think CeeDee Lamb is the better wide receiver, you draft CeeDee Lamb because those explosive players
who's still available because some of those guys could go in the top 10.
I think Jeudy and Lamb are going in the top 10. I still think they're going in the top 10.
Right, but you might not really have a choice between all of those.
You're absolutely right, and I repeat, I do not. As much as I think Rupp is going to be a good player in the league, I do not want Rupp. I do not want Rupp at number 11.
It doesn't even matter if you want Ruggs or not because there's other dudes: Jalen Rager, Denzel Mims, Justin Jefferson. Like the list.
Yeah, but you could get
as much as you say that you can get a left tackle in the second round, which you're probably right. You probably can. Dude, go and look at the list of wide receivers in this draft. It is ridiculous.
Oh, I agree. And I don't think the Jets are going to just draft one wide receiver in this year's draft. I think they're going to draft possibly two or multiple wide receivers. They need explosive guys on the outside. They don't even have a 1 and a 2. They got all number 2s. You look at Jamison Crowder, he's a number 2. You look at Herndon's a wide receiver / tight end, but he has to stay on the field. They have good tight ends. They don't really have any explosive. They brought Dotson in. I don't think Dotson's going to make the team. I really don't. I think he's a bust. But they brought him in just in case because he knows Jamison Crowder and he knows the offense. So that's why they brought Dotson in. But they don't really have a 1 and a 2 guy. And I could see the Jets drafting a 1 in the first round and maybe drafting a number 2 wide receiver in the third round. I could see them doing it.
That just goes to show you, no matter, listen, and I get you don't like him, right? Mm-hmm. But, that just goes to show you, it's probably a mistake that they let Robbie Anderson go because then, at the very least, listen, we all agree he's not a number 1, but he's certainly a number 2. He'd be a fine number 2.
I think he's a number 2. I do not pay a guy, and I will not pay Robbie Anderson $10 million a year when the guy does so many things on and off the field that is stupid. And
$10 million is not a lot of money.
It is. It is when you can take
$10 million is what Chris Hogan gets.
Yeah, and here's what the Jets have right now next year. The Jets have $86 or $87 million they can work with because they didn't give him $10 million. It affects their salary cap, and I do believe that the Jets just didn't think Robbie Anderson was going to fit with the team long term. And I think Joe Douglas has a plan. And I think he's going to follow through with his plan. I do believe he wants to draft his wide receivers. He's not even going to go after. I didn't think he was going to go after a veteran wide receiver. As soon as I knew AJ Green was going to re-sign or be franchised by the Bengals, I knew the Jets weren't going after a wide receiver. No matter what, trade or no trade, they weren't. I believe their plan is to draft a wide receiver or 2 in this year's draft and build around the draft the way I believe Joe Douglas is going to do. And I do believe they're going to draft a tackle, and I do believe they're going to draft a guard. Yeah. They have.
I'd take a tackle at 11 if I were the Jets.
I wouldn't.
I'd wait on receiver because there's plenty of great receivers.
And I think
don't look up the list of receivers. It's ridiculous.
I agree with you, but again. A guy like CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy, guys that could be a game changer, and the NFL has become an offensive league. Sam likes to throw the ball down the field. These guys can run any single route, and they're fast, and they have great hands, and they don't drop the ball, a.k.a. Robbie Anderson, okay? Pot hands. That's what I called them, okay? I want guys that can catch the ball.
Radio, no Robbie Anderson.
Shut up, you. You're an idiot. But I think that when I think you look at the New York Jets and where the New York Jets are, I think they build around the draft. I think the smartest thing for them to do, if the tackle that they want is there at number 11, draft him. If he's not and he went early, draft the wide receiver because they need a wide receiver just as bad as they need a tackle. So, and I do believe they're going to
They
absolutely.
need most of everything.
I don't think they need a lot of things like you say. Their defense is pretty much stacked. I think their defense is fine. I do believe they'll draft a corner somewhere in this draft, even though they like the
Another
kid.
position that's deep, too.
I think they like the kid from Rutgers that came in last year in the second half.
Austin? Yeah.
who
I
played
liked him,
very well.
too. Yeah.
He played very well with the Jets, and I believe that he will be a very important piece to the Jets moving forward. I think the Jets believe that he could be a second-tier corner for them.